Once upon a time in ancient Greece, there was a woman so stunningly beautiful that when she walked into a room, everyone stopped to stare at her. Her name was Helen, and she was the queen of Sparta. Now, there were many suitors who had tried to win Helen's hand in marriage, but she was already promised to Menelaus, the king of Sparta. But then, one day, a handsome prince from Troy named Paris came along. He was struck by Helen's beauty, and he was determined to make her his wife, even though she was already engaged to someone else. Paris knew that he could untwin Helen's love by fighting for her hand in marriage, because Menelaus was a powerful warrior. So he hatched a plan to kidnap her and take her back to Troy. One night, while Menelaus was away on a trip, Paris snuck into Helen's room and took her away. Then he sailed back to Troy with his prize, and this was the beginning of the end for Troy. You see, Menelaus was not just any ordinary king. He was the brother of Agamemnon, the supreme commander of the Greek army. And when Agamemnon heard about what Paris had done, he called for a meeting of all the Greek kings to decide on how they should get revenge for Helen's abduction. Now, you might be thinking that these kings would have been happy to let it go, since Helen was just a woman. But this wasn't just any woman. Helen was considered to be the most beautiful woman in the world, and taking her away was a huge insult to the Greeks. They were furious with the Trojans, and they wanted revenge. So they assembled a massive army and set sail for Troy. They besieged the city for 10 long years. But they couldn't capture it because the Trojans were fierce warriors. The Greeks were desperate, so they did something crazy. They built a giant wooden horse and left it outside the city walls. They pretended to be sailing away, and the Trojans, thinking they had won, brought the horse inside their city as a trophy. But the next morning, when the sun rose, Greek soldiers started pouring out of the horse, and the Trojans were defeated. Helen went back to Menelaus, and Paris paid the ultimate price for his actions. But the story doesn't end there. This epic tale of love, war, and betrayal was immortalized by Homer in his epic poem, The Iliad and the Odyssey. It is a story that has been told and retold countless times throughout history, and it continues to be relevant today because it explores timeless themes that we can all relate to. But what does it mean for two people to be so madly in love that their love launches 1,000 ships? What makes Helen such an iconic character? And how does the story of Paris and Helen teach us about ourselves and the world around us? Well, let's start with the obvious. Helen was drop-dead gorgeous. She was so beautiful that she was known as the face that launched 1,000 ships. But beauty is more than skin deep, and Helen had a lot more going for her than just her looks. She was also intelligent, quick-witted, and resourceful. When Paris took her to Troy, she didn't just sit around waiting for rescues. She used her intelligence to help the Trojans defend their city against the Greeks. On the other hand, Paris wasn't just a handsome prince. He was also brave, adventurous, and determined. He wasn't afraid to go after what he wanted, even if it meant going against the gods themselves. Now, when Paris first lays eyes on Helen, he knows that he wants her to be his wife, and he's not gonna let anything stand in his way, not even her engagement to Menelaus, the king of Sparta, or the fact that he's from a rival kingdom. No, sir, this man is not messing around. He is going to have Helen, and he's not going to rest until he gets her. And let me tell you, his determination is admirable. Let's be real, we've all been rejected by our crushes before. We know what it feels like to have our hearts broken and to think that maybe we'll never find love. But Paris doesn't let rejection get him down. He picks himself up, dusts himself off, and goes after what he wants, and that takes guts. But why does he want Helen so badly? Is it just because she's pretty? Come on, let's be honest. We all know that looks aren't everything. There has to be more to Helen than just her looks, right? Well, yeah, there is. See, Helen wasn't just a pretty face. She was also smart, funny, and kind. She was everything that Paris had been looking for in a partner. And when he finally gets her, he realizes that he made the right choice. Their love was something special, and it was worth fighting for. But their love wasn't always smooth sailing. There were definitely some rough patches along the way, but they worked through it, and that made their bond even stronger. They were willing to fight for their love, and that says something. Now, let's talk about the impact that their love had on the world around them. When Paris decided to run away with Helen, he knew that it would cause a war between Greece and Troy, but he was willing to risk it all for love. And that kind of passion is contagious. The Greeks were so outraged by Helen's abduction that they assembled an army of thousands to go to war with Troy. And let's be real, if someone was willing to risk it all for love, wouldn't you be willing to risk a little bit too? The answer is yes, of course you would. Their love story is a reminder that sometimes the greatest risks come with the greatest rewards. And it's a lesson that we can all learn from, but let's not forget that their love story wasn't just about the passion and the excitement. It was also about the commitment and the loyalty that they had for each other. Paris and Helen were together for 10 long years, and through all the ups and downs, they never gave up on each other. They fought for their love, and in the end, it was worth it. But let's not forget about the consequences of their love. The Trojan War was one of the deadliest conflicts in ancient history, and it resulted in the deaths of thousands of people. But even in the midst of all that destruction and pain, there was still hope. Paris and Helen's love story reminds us that even in the darkest of times, love can be a guiding light. It gives us hope that even when things are tough, we can pull through if we have someone to lean on. But let's not forget about the importance of making choices. Paris's decision to run away with Helen had far-reaching consequences, not just for himself and Helen, but for the entire world. But sometimes in life, we have to make tough choices, and we need to be willing to accept the consequences of those choices. Overall, the love story of Paris and Helen is a reminder that love is a powerful force that can bring out the best and worst in us. It is a lesson that we can all learn from as we navigate the complexities of love and relationships. In conclusion, the love between Paris and Helen was truly extraordinary. Their love story is a reminder that sometimes the greatest risks come with the greatest rewards, and that love can be a powerful force that can bring out the best and worst in us. Let us strive to find love in our own lives that is as passionate and inspiring as that of Paris and Helen, while also being mindful of the choices we make and their consequences. Thank you for joining me on this journey through the fascinating love story of Paris and Helen. If you enjoyed this video, please don't hesitate to like, comment, and share your thoughts below. Your feedback is invaluable to us and helps us create more engaging content for you. Don't forget to subscribe for more captivating stories and leave us a tip if you feel inspired. We look forward to seeing you in our next video. Until then, stay curious and keep exploring the world around you. Who knows, you might just discover your next great adventure.